Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm back with the Govee Life Smart Ice Nugget Maker. It's a $500 countertop ice maker, but is it worth all the bells and whistles, or is it any better than the $100 model I've been using for 3 years? Let's find out in today's video, starting with the unboxing. This is it. It's big. Not only is it big, but it's heavy. This box weighs over 40 pounds. So let's crack this open and see what's inside. I'm gonna have to move it to the floor. It's just too big for this table. First thing out of the box, very nice looking instructions. No clue. Ugh. Almost looks like a big PC tower. It's huge. All right, this is it. This is the Govee Life Smart Ice Nugget Maker. I paid $500 for this on Amazon, where it currently has a 4.3 star rating among a whopping 100 reviews. Now they claim that it's a smart ice maker, and there's a screen right here. They say it can produce 60 pounds of ice a day. They also say it has 6-minute rapid production, so you can get started right away. Dual tank system, I think this is one of the tanks. They say it has a quiet 40 decibel operation. Smart features allow you to schedule ice production via the smartphone app. 2 self-cleaning modes. Floating touchscreen right here. And they say it has an LED strip inside for a customizable glow. Now those on Amazon who like it, they say it makes a ton of ice and it's easy to set up. They say it's attractive looking. They also say it has quiet operation and it's easy to clean. A lot of people said they like the fact that it produces chewable nuggets. Some people said they like the 3-year warranty, others said they like the smart features and alerts. Now looking at the cons, virtually everyone said it was large, heavy, and expensive. A couple people said you kind of have to constantly babysit it because it doesn't regenerate water when it melts. So I'm gonna have to look this over, clean this off, set it up, and then we will get started. All right, I have washed it off. I have set it up. It is time to get started. Let's take a quick look at the features here now. Up here is a display panel, which we'll get into a little bit later. There's a drip tray down here, which they call the water container, but that's certainly a drip tray. Large capacity ice bucket. Much larger than the other ice makers I've used before. We'll also talk about that a little later too. These are a couple of extension hoses if you need them. There's an outlet hose for cleaning. And then here is a hose for the water tank. The water tank is right here on the side. The scoop actually magnetically adheres to the side of the tank, which is a nice feature. In between the water tank and the main unit, there's a little clip here that they both hook onto to keep them together. All right, let's plug this in now. Oh, we have light. All right, we are on standby. Cool. Well, before we get started though, let's take a look inside. In the ice bucket here, there's a filter inside here, and you can actually add water all the way up to here if it's empty. So in addition to the tank on the side having water, you can actually put water inside the unit itself. This filter comes out and is washable. It seems to be a nice large bucket too. It seems like that's gonna hold a lot of ice. Now on the main screen itself, we have the power button, which is gonna start off on standby. Now obviously there's a light feature here, but I think the light's really gonna be best when you have ice in there. So let's deal with that after we made some ice. There's a start button, descale and clean buttons, and stop. But first we have to fill off the side tank. They say not to use tap water, so I'm just gonna use this gallon of drinking water here. Remove the scoop, removing the side tank. All right, I don't see a fill line anywhere, but I am up to right here. So it's a little over a gallon capacity, it looks like. Placing the side tank back on the side tank base. Adding the scoop to the side. All right, I have set up the app on my phone. If you see from the panel, it's on standby, which I'm seeing on my phone as well. What I like about this is you can still power it from the panel. You don't have to rely on an app to use it. Although the app does have extra features, it is nice that you don't have to rely on the app itself. So take a look at the app here. We can start or pause it with this top button here. There's a couple different cleaning modes, clean and descaling, scheduling. So you can basically tell it to not run during certain hours, which is kind of nice. You also can set up a new schedule here as well. Now the light function I want to get into right here is all these different light features, but we'll do that after there's ice in there because I think that's kind of the whole point of it, is that it kind of illuminates the ice itself. So let's get started making some ice here. All right, so I'm just gonna press the button. I'm gonna press the start button right here. We are making ice, that's right. When the first batch of ice comes out, we'll take a look and see what kind of cubes we've got here. But right now the setup is pretty easy. The other thing is that the phone and the panel look the same. They're basically showing the same display. And the app itself will show you how much ice you've made over time. There's even a calendar here which will show you how much ice you've made. That's kind of cool. So my stopwatch is going. I'll let you know when the first ice comes out of here, and we'll see what it looks like. So I'll come back then and let you know. All right, after 9 minutes, we have a little bit of ice here already. Let's take a look inside. Now, when you open this up, a light comes on. So when you close it, you have the colored light, open it up, white light comes on. They're kind of small ice nuggets here. Looks like the initial batch of ice is kind of more crushed, but you're starting to get these kind of small nuggets here. Kind of a nice little size, they're like little bullets. Little tiny ice nuggets. So unlike the other ice maker I have that kind of goes in batches, this kind of comes out just in a steady stream. See, one little chunk just came out. I'm gonna come back in about an hour. It's only been going for about 10 minutes now. I'll come back in an hour and we'll see how much ice is made in 60 minutes. So stay tuned for that. All right, we are at the 1 hour mark. The app saying it's made 2.4 pounds of ice. Let's take a look. I'm gonna weigh that, but before I do that, let's take a look at the lights here now that it's full. All right, so while it's full of ice, let's take a look at the light feature on here now. So we can change that as a static color. You have to hit preview for each one. There's orange, that's red, that's dark blue. I kind of like light blue a little better, but maybe you like green. Maybe you like purple. But that's just a solid color. They have presets here. They have scenes. They have all these different scenes here. They have frost flow. Let's take a look at that one. Whoa. It goes from like a blue and a white going across the ice bucket here. I'm not going to do all these, but you get the idea. That's collision, rainbow. I'm just going to kind of go down the line of some of these. I mean, there's a lot of options. And some of them, you can just leave it like that. So you definitely, if you're having a party or something like that, your ice maker is going to be the star of the show. You can even do custom effects as well. So the light's definitely a cool feature in this. You can also change the lighting options for things like descaling or when the ice is full. All right, so I'm going to use my app here and I'm going to pause it. Now it's on standby. Let's see how much we actually got. They're saying 2.6 pounds. That's a goodly amount of ice in 1 hour. Let's see if that's an accurate measurement though. All right, let's pull this out of here. All right, my scale is showing a little over 2 pounds. And look at all this ice here. Here's the shape of it, very nice. I gotta say, I'm kind of impressed. 1 hour, that's a ton of ice compared to what I usually have. And it looks like we have a little bit left, so it used probably 3/4 of a gallon of water for that. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna do another round and see if I have any more observations. But so far, my first impression, I'm very impressed by round number 1. All right, how about a real world comparison here? All right, so I've moved the Govee Life ice maker onto my counter, and as you can see, it's quite large compared to the Frigidaire I have. The other thing to point out is the drip tray won't even fit here. It'd be hanging off the counter, so I cannot use a drip tray in this location. So what I want to do now is a battle for the ages, an old school frequent reviews comparison. We've got the Govee Life here, 500 bucks, brand new, versus my 3-year-old Frigidaire that I've had since 2023. I named this number 5 best product of the year that year. I've probably used it close to 1,000 times. It's looking kind of a little bit scuffed up because I use it so much. So for this first test here, what I want to do is the Frigidaire makes it in batches while the Govee Life basically does it as a stream. But my question is, how much does the Govee Life make in the same amount of time the Frigidaire does one batch? Now in both cases, the first batches are a little bit on the thin, weak side. So when the first batch comes through, I'm gonna dump them out and then start the clock for really the second batch. So let me run these through one batch and then start my test. All right, after running through one quick cycle, I dumped them out, put them on standby. Let's start up again for real this time. Here we go. Starting the Govee, starting the Frigidaire, starting the stopwatch. As soon as the Frigidaire finishes one cycle, I'll weigh both of them and see how much ice they both came up with. So I'm gonna stand here and watch them and let you know what happens. At the 10-minute and 20-second mark, Frigidaire just finished the first batch. I've paused both of them. Let's go weigh how much they made in that 10 minutes. Frigidaire, 1.5 ounces. Govee, 3.5 ounces, definitely out front. All right, so clearly the Govee Life won that pretty handily. Let's now try a similar test. I'm gonna let them go both for an hour, for 1 hour, and see how much of a difference these two make. So let me start them both up again. They've both been emptied out, so they're both ready to go. Govee Life started, Frigidaire started. In 1 hour, I'll come back and let you know how much each is made. All right, we are at the 1 hour mark. Let me pause both of these. And let's head over to the scale right now. Frigidaire, we have almost a full basket. 11.3 ounces from the Frigidaire. I would say a respectable showing. Now for the Govee Life. Here we have a nice big bucket of ice. I think it's gonna be a little more. I think Govee Life is gonna win again. 1 pound, 11 ounces. Once again, Govee Life crushed it. And it is kind of crushed looking. Frigidaire, you've served me well over the last 3 years, but you might be headed for the donation pile based on that. All right, so I'm gonna try a real world test here. We are out here at Lake Mead. What if I need to make some ice before I get home? I forgot to turn the ice maker on. Good thing I have my app here. I can supposedly start my ice maker here from Lake Mead and have ice when I get home. Let's see, hit the start button. It says making ice. So hopefully when I get home, we should have ice. Now, I've seen other apps like this where you have to be on the same network. I don't think that's the case with this one. So it looks like it's making ice. Hopefully I have ice when I get home. I'll let you know. Just finished my lunch here at Lake Mead, and according to my app, I have about 2.5 pounds of ice waiting for me when I get home. So I'm gonna head home and I should have close to 3 pounds of ice, if not more, when I get there. Just got home and look, it's full. Oh, not bad. Started that while I was out at the lake, get home, completely full. Nice. I'm enjoying myself a nice, tall, cool glass of iced tea in this 86-degree weather here in Las Vegas and contemplating the ice maker I've been reviewing. Now, I make about a pitcher of iced tea every single day, so I go through a lot of ice, which is one of the reasons I like ice maker so much. Now, my refrigerator ice maker doesn't work that great, and it doesn't keep up. The Frigidaire has done a pretty good job, but I feel like this one I've even leveled up further. I don't think I'm ever gonna have to worry about keeping up with my ice production anymore. Let's talk about the pros and cons next. Let's take a look at some of the pros and cons now. First up for the pros would be the speed and volume. It works fast and makes a high volume of ice, faster and more volume than the Frigidaire I've been using for 3 years. Speaking of volume, it's quiet. It's only a quiet hum while in operation, and when it dispenses ice, that's not very loud either. I found it easy to set up, both the countertop ice maker itself and the app. And speaking of the app, I do like some of those features as well. I like the fact that you can get notification when the ice is full, and the fact that you can operate it remotely like I did at the lake. My other ice maker doesn't even have an alarm, so I have to kind of babysit that one. The lighting is mostly unnecessary, but it does add a nice visual touch. I also like the fact that it has a 3-year warranty right out of the gate, which for something that expensive is also a nice bonus. Let's take a look at the cons now. There's 3 main cons that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. It's expensive, it's large, and it's heavy. And while I do like the app, relying on an app for something like this is kind of dangerous because if the app starts working, you lose functionality. But cons aside, I'm a fan of this ice maker and I look forward to putting that on my countertop permanently. And I'll let you know with update 72 in May of 2027 how it's held up over time. So in the end, if you host a lot of events or if you have a large family or you just like a lot of ice, this might fit the bill for you. On the other hand, if you're on a limited budget or if you have limited space or you don't need all those bells and whistles, there are much cheaper options out there that might be a better fit. Do the smart features make this worth the purchase price? For me, it probably will, but your mileage certainly will vary. But that's all I've got. If you've used an ice maker like this or something like it, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.